Lesson 3.2, add integers. Integers like 2 and negative 2 are called opposites because they are the same distance from 0 on the opposite side. Okay? Two integers that are opposite are also called additive inverses. The additive inverse property states that the sum of any number and its additive inverse is 0. So we can show that 2 plus negative 2 on the number line. We add 2 and then we take 2 away, so 2 plus negative 2 is 0. Okay? First, we're going to add integers with the same sign. So to add integers with the same sign, add their absolute values. The sum is positive if both numbers are positive and negative if both numbers are negative. So if we look at example A, we have negative 5 plus negative 7. So we start with 5 negatives. We're going to add 7 more negatives to the pile. So 5 plus 7 is 12. And again, we started with negatives, so it's a negative 12. Letter B, we have 10 negatives. We're going to add 4 more negatives to it. So I started with 10. I add 4 more. That's 14. They're both negative, so we have negative 14. Okay, letter C, we have negative 14 plus negative 16. Again, I started with 14 negatives. I'm going to add 16 more negatives to it. So 14 plus 16 is 30. And since it's a negative and a negative, it would be negative 30. Okay? Then we're going to add integers with different signs. So to add integers with different signs, subtract their absolute values. The sum is positive if the positive integer's absolute value is greater, and it's negative if the negative integer's absolute value is greater. Okay? So if we go to example D, we have 6 plus negative 7. So I have 6 positives and I have 7 negatives. I'm going to make my 0 pairs here. Okay, so after I make my 0 pairs, what's left? So when I subtract them, 7 minus 6 is 1. Now what do I have more of? Do I have more negatives or positives? I have more negatives, so our answer is negative 1. Letter E, we have negative 15 plus positive 19. Okay, so again, we're making our 0 pairs. We're going to pair up a positive and a negative, so we can't make any more pairs. So we take 19 minus 15. Okay, what's left? So we'd have 4 left, and then I look to see what's bigger, my negatives or positives. Well, I have more positives, so I'd have 4 positives left after I make my 0 pairs. Okay? So letter F, we have 10 plus negative 12. Again, I have 10 positives, I have 12 negatives. I'm going to make my 0 pairs, and what do I have left? After I've made all my 0 pairs, so 12 minus 10 is 2. And then I look to see, what do I have more, positives or negatives? Well, I have more negatives here. I have 12 of those, so it would be 2 negatives left over. Okay, then we have negative 13 plus 18. Again, we make our 0 pairs. What do we have left? So 18 minus 13 is 5. Then I look to see, what do I have more, positives or negatives? I have more positives, so I'd have 5 positives left over. Letter H, we have negative 14 plus negative 6 plus 6. Now when I have more than 2 terms in my sequence, I always look to see, can I make a 0 pair here? Okay, can I cancel anything out? Well, we have negative 14, negative 6, and positive 6. If I look at this, I have 2 6s. I have a negative 6 and a positive 6. And we know when we make those 0 pairs, those are going to pair up evenly, so there's nothing left. They make 0. That's our additive inverse. Negative 6 plus a positive 6 is 0. So all I'm left with is a negative 14. Okay? In a story problem, letter I, the temperature is negative 3 degrees. An hour later, it drops 6 degrees, and 2 hours later, it rises 4 degrees. Write an addition expression to describe this situation, then find the sum and explain its meaning. Okay? So first it says we need to write an addition expression to describe this situation. So I need to pick out my key points. So the temperature we start at is negative 3. Then it drops 6 degrees, and 2 hours later, it rises 4 degrees. Okay? So to write my addition expression, I'm going to start with negative 3. Plus, now it drops 6 degrees. So if it drops 6 degrees, we know that's a negative number. So we're going to add negative 6. And then plus, and then it rises 4. If you rise, that's a positive. So plus 4. Okay? And then it says find the sum. So we're going to add these together. So again, I look to find, can I make an easy 0 pair here? Can I 0 pair any of these? Well, I don't have any numbers that are the same, so I'm going to work left to right. So I have negative 3 plus negative 6. I have 3 negatives. I add 6 more negatives. That's negative 9, then plus positive 4. So now I have 9 negatives and 4 positives. When I make my 0 pairs, put those together, what do I have left? So 9 minus 4 is 5. And then I have to ask myself, do I have more positives or negatives? Well, I started off with more negatives, so we'd have -5. Okay? And then it says explain its meaning. So what does -5 mean? I want to know what that means. So I would say after 2 hours, the temperature is -5 degrees.